Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the adult, and I want to stress the adult animated TV four-part show, Marvel Zombies. Yes, this comes to us from the good folks over at Marvel Studios, Marvel Animation, and Disney Plus. This is an offshoot or a spin-off, if you will, of the What If animated series that came out on Disney Plus a year, maybe 2 years ago. And I was kind of up and down with the What If show. I love the first season, second season, and not so much. A couple of episodes here or there. But what I did enjoy mostly about What If was the zombies episode. I that was hands down my favorite, and of course everybody else's, which led to this four-part show. And I wondered why they just didn't make it a movie. Technically it is if you watch it, if you just binge it, all four episodes back to back to back to back, it's a movie. And I don't know why they just didn't market it as that, but hey, whatever. The point is, this is Marvel Zombies, and it's set in the alternate timeline, introduced in the What If episode, What If Zombies? And that came out in 2021. And in that episode, a virus had turned most of the world's population, which includes the Avengers, into zombies. So this show follows a group of survivors as they discover the key to bring an end to this zombie plague, which leads them to risk their lives traveling across this dystopian landscape and fight superpowered zombies to save the world. And I mean, sign me up. You have a not only a zombie. If you're a horror nut, you love zombie movies, Night of the Living Dead, and 28 Days Later type deal. This is for you. And if you're a superhero nut, you'll love that too. And so you blend the two together. Hey, where can you go wrong? I mean, you have super powered zombies. If zombies aren't scary or frightening enough, you have super powered zombies. You don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. And this show really showed that, how horrifying that could actually be if this was a reality, with superheroes and zombies alike. Neither one of them exists, at least as far as I know. But this is what I had mentioned earlier to start off the show, an adult animated show. This is TVMA. Hard. I mean, there's blood, there's decapitations, there's all type of stuff in this show. And the only thing that wasn't there was the language. I think they said sugar honey iced tea a few times, but other than that, it really wasn't any language. But the gore was there, and it was there to for all of our viewing enjoyment. I'll just put it like put it like that. And that's a turn. There's a big turn for Marvel, especially on Disney Plus. We haven't gotten anything of an adult variety from the MCU, with the exception of Deadpool and Wolverine, which was rated R. But even that rated R wasn't hardcore rated R. Like the first Deadpool, which isn't part of the MCU, but you know what I'm saying. It isn't going there fully. And this show doesn't really go there fully, but it was kind of a change of pace, especially judging from the last few pieces of content we got from the MCU. Fantastic Four, family film, Thunderbolts. That was more of a, I guess you could put that in the range of young adult type, and Captain America, Brave New World. I don't even want to talk about that. But you have all of these family. You can bring your family to see those movies, and even the shows that's on Disney Plus, family oriented to a degree. This isn't. This is very, very dark. Uh, what shocked me about this series, these 4 episodes, was the fact that Kamala Khan was the lead. And it's not a knock. I'm just saying I didn't know that she was going to be the main focus of these 4 episodes. And it was cool that it did it that way. And I liked the way it was played out throughout these 4 episodes. What was her importance and why our lead villain wanted her so bad or needed her so bad, was after her in the worst way. And I was along for that ride and I was enjoying it. I guess before I go any further, while it's in my head, I want to mention that a vast majority of the characters here are voiced by the actors who portrayed them in live action. Kamala Khan is voiced by Vellani, who portrays her in Miss Marvel, as well as the Marvels that came out a couple of years ago. Dominique Thorne comes back as Riri Williams. Haley Steinfeld voices Kate Bishop. You even got Kerry Condon coming back to voice Friday here. Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Sumu Liu, or yeah, I think Liu. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. He voiced Shang-Chi. Aquafina. She comes back to voice Riot Russell is here. But the biggest surprise, along with Paul Rudd, is Elizabeth Olsen. Now, Elizabeth Olsen has said that she was pretty much wrapped up with Scarlet Witch, with Wanda, and she was done with the MCU to a degree. And to see that she returned for this. Now, with that being said, she could have recorded her voiceover years ago for this show. This show, it isn't like they just made this last week or a couple of months back. It was a lot of work went into anime. It takes years for animation to get off the ground as far as being presented to the audience. So she could have recorded her lines years ago for this show. So it doesn't necessarily mean that she's back, but it was nice to hear her voice. It was nice to see this character return, especially after the last time we saw her in Doctor Strange, and they did that character so dirty, coming off of WandaVision right into Doctor Strange. It was a big difference. I mean, a complete 180. If you want to talk 180, that's 180. Where we saw her in WandaVision and in Doctor Strange. She was the protagonist all the way to antagonist, and it was like, why? It really didn't give a real clear-cut explanation as to why. But with that's a whole nother discussion. I just, it still boggles my mind. It frustrates me because I enjoy this character so much. I've been, since Age of Ultron, been in love with her portrayal of Wanda Maximoff. So I didn't like the way that character, I guess you could say, came to their demise. But it's always a chance she can return as the character, or they can kind of reboot that character if they're going to do that after Secret Wars. But anyways, back to this show. I did like this show. I like the cast. I like the voice act, and it felt real. It gives it that authentic feel. You know what I'm saying? When you have the actors who portray these characters in live action still voice them in animation, it just gives it that stamp of approval, for lack of a better term. And I enjoyed it a little bit more because of that. As far as what took place in the show, my positives of the show, I have to say, man, I love the story. I love the story they told here. And to kind of piggyback off of the little mini rant that I had in the beginning, why they didn't just make this a movie, I wish it would have been a movie. Yeah, I wish this would have been a movie instead of being marketed as a show. Whereas you know, when you it just carries a different weight if you say, oh, a movie as opposed of a full part TV show. You know, it just I don't know. I don't know. It's just something in my mind. Once again, I'm loopy, and so I'm a nutball, which I've been described as. So it is a possibility I could be tripping, and the only one on planet Earth that feels this way. But I just felt it would have had more of an impact if it was a movie. But with all that being said, it still had an impact on the story. I loved following this kind of a chase, of Kamala Khan and Wanda Maximoff, going after her. And we all think it's this MacGuffin that uh, I just said her name, Kamala has, but it's not that. It's actually her, and it's cool the way they kind of revealed that as the show went on. The other characters, all the characters was great. Um, didn't have a flaw with none of the voice acting here. Big shout out to Todd Williams who voices Blade. Blade was a big standout in this show. Uh, it just made me want Blade, and it made me mad while watching this, watching Blade and this animation, but watching how he fights and how he moves and his mannerisms and the way he speaks and everything. I mean, Todd Williams, he sounds like Mahershala Ali because I had to watch the end, the credits to see who actually did the voices, and because I wanted to make sure. I like Mahershala Ali is doing. I mean, finally he gets to portray Blade in some shape, form, or fashion, only to find out it wasn't him. But oh boy, Todd Williams sounds just like Mahershala Ali, and it fit that character, and it made me super excited and also super frustrated because we haven't seen that live action movie yet. Yeah, all of the voice acting was great. The action sequences were amazing. This animation style that they use for these shows here, whether it's What If or uh, uh, Zombies here, it's you know, I wasn't a big fan of it at first. It kind of grew on me, and it fits this show. I really love the animation style, the fluid way these characters were moving on screen. It just looked beautiful. It looked beautiful. It was awesome to watch. Speaking of beauty, I gotta. Here's the sick part of Kevin Reed. The gore, man. The kills in this show were so brutal. It's so just out of left field. You couldn't do anything but appreciate it. It was that good. I loved how because nobody was killed the same. Nobody met their end in the same way. Everybody met their, and I'm talking a vast number of characters here. I'm even the zombie horde and all this here. Nobody died the same, and I was just for no pun intended, in marvel of all of the kills that took place, and was like just fixated on the string. I enjoyed it. I really did. I loved it. Wish there was more. My last positive, and if you haven't watched it and you don't want to be spoiled, this is a spoiler. Uh, so you got a couple of minutes. Just give me 1 minute, and I'll be done with it. If you don't want to be spoiled, and so just skip ahead a minute. But the Hulk, he didn't do much when he was in here, but the Infinity Hulk was fantastic. I guess this is a positive and a negative all in the same thing, because my negative about that, we only got him for one episode, and it was only a piece of the first of one episode, and I was just like, man, this is fire. This is Hulk, man. And I really got emotional because a good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years back, his favorite character was Hulk. And it just popped in my head while watching it and watching the Hulk, Hulk out for a minute. And first thing flashed in my mind was him. I was like, oh my God, he would have loved this. It was that good. I couldn't do anything but allow my eyes to water up. Nothing fell out, but they did water up in memory of him. But that was amazing. Didn't see that coming. Completely caught me off guard. My negatives about the show was that number one, it was only 4 episodes. Now, granted, this was a singular story. We didn't go around the world telling different stories, to whereas you had to flush out more, so you needed to add 2 or 3 new episodes to it or anything like that. For the story, it was 4 episodes. It needed to be 4 episodes. It was perfectly paced in that way. But I would have loved to have seen more from a few characters. And we didn't get to see that. A little more backstory with Thor, who pops up, and New Asgard, and see how that came to be, and Ant-Man and Spider-Man. What led to their team up. Even though a lot of this was kind of discussed in the What If episode, but just for the purpose of this particular show, I would love to see them a little bit more than we did. Now, when we did see them, it was great, but I would just wanted more. And quite honestly, I did not like the end. I loved 3 and 3/4 of these 4 episodes. I enjoyed every minute until the end. The end got me so mad. Now, if there's a season 2 coming, I will be even more mad because that adds to the point where they should have just had more episodes. but the ending was so infuriating. It is something like Ironheart. Ironheart was what it was. It was decent in my eyes, but that ending made me so mad. So it kind of hit me like that. It just was so infuriating. Like, we went through all this to get to this. It was a wet fart of not reveal, but an ending. And I don't know, it just left a bad taste in my mouth. But so much good happened prior to that. It doesn't classify it as a bad show, but it did have a bad ending. But the rest of it, great. Loved it, enjoyed it. Can't recommend it any more than I could. Even with that ending, I still recommend you watching it if you have it. Marvel Zombies, which is currently on Disney Plus, gets a letter grade of a B plus. Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. It probably would have benefited a little bit more if they would have released it in about 2 or 3 weeks. A little closer to Halloween, but I get it. Get some time for it to build up for Halloween season. But yeah, it's definitely a horror show. It is horrifying, if you will. I would love to know, did you check out Marvel Zombies? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Or are you marveled out? It seems like a lot of people are marveled out at this point. Fantastic Four, it didn't bomb, but it didn't do good. Thunderbolts didn't do good. Captain America didn't do good. Of course, that deserved it. But Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, those were really good movies, and I thought they would have done better than what they did at the box office, which says that nobody went to go see it. But at the same time, a lot of people are waiting for Disney Plus. A lot of people waiting for it to hit digital and on demand and stuff like that. Nobody really goes out to the theaters like they used to. I get that too. But the reality is a lot of people are kind of burnt out with the MCU. And I want to know, Are you one of those people, or you just not a zombie person? Now, I just want to know your thoughts about Marvel Zombies. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Marvel Zombies. I want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.